Well, thank you for joining us for Let's Talk on WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and it is Good Friday. It's Good Friday, and as you all know, hopefully you're watching the show, but a lot of folks are headed to churches across the country who are firing up their fryers to sell these good fish dinners on Good Friday. So, it's a way of them making a little bit of money and what have you. But, fish is often associated with Jesus Christ. And it's the consumption on Fridays, especially during Lent, as a way that's used to remember and commemorate his sacrifice. And so I hope to get out of here soon enough to get over to one of our neighborhood churches over here in the Southeast to support their Friday fish fry and to celebrate Good Friday. And I hope that you have the opportunity to do so as well. And what a weekend we will have. The weather's finally going to be more spring-like as we welcome Easter on this Sunday. The good news is that the pews will be filled with those who may not have seen the inside of a church since last Easter. The bad news is that the pews will be filled with those who have not seen the inside of a church since last Easter, or sadly, the funeral of a loved one. So I tell you, folks, if we ever needed prayer and the inspiration of a good message and our seats in the pews, it's right now. That's my commercial for not only Easter Sunday, but also for church. So I would just say to you, happy Easter to all. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Or if you go out and do those outfits or those Easter eggs or all those things that some people do, just have a good time. Spend time with family. And that's what this occasion helps to represent. Since March 15, we've been bubbling with excitement for the winner of the 43rd annual citywide spelling bee. And we know some of you all who watched the spelling bee on the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment's DCE network this weekend share our enthusiasm for Zwei Spacetime, a homeschooled student in the District of Columbia who won this year's DC Citywide Spelling Bee. We did a special issue in the Washington Informer, and Zwei is heading to the 100th annual Scripps National Spelling Bee at the National Harbor next month, along with Prince George's County winner, 11-year-old Abigail Adigbite. Zwei's sister is Zayla Avant-Garde, who made history as the first African-American national spelling bee winner, sponsored by the Scripps National Spelling Bee. She won the national competition in 2021. So we are looking forward to some great things at the spelling bee for Zwei. And we are also have our fingers crossed for Abigail. All the best to them, and we'll be there to cheer them on. And hopefully you all will be watching the Scripps National Spelling Bee. We'll just send you some information on that so that you can either, you have to cheer from your seats at home because I don't think you'll be able to get into the Gaylord where the National Spelling Bee will take place. But you can cheer from home, and normally the bee is aired on ESPN. So we'll get you some details on that so we can kind of root for our local participants, Zwei Spacetime and Abigail Adigbite from DC and from Prince George's County. Recently, James Wright interviewed Trump administration's nominee for DC U.S. Attorney Ed Martin.
When we came out here to Washington, D.C., my office was up on Capitol Hill, kind of near St. Joseph's Church. And I loved the idea of being the U.S. Attorney for D.C. because it's the best job in America. You're the district attorney for all of the local crime, and you're also the federal prosecutor in the greatest city in the world, Washington, D.C. So I asked to do this job, and I was told that there was another local D.C. lawyer who wanted to do this job. Mm-hmm. And just a few days before the inauguration, I got a call, and they said that gentleman or gentle lady, I don't even know who it was, couldn't do the job, and would I put my name in the hat and the hopper to do that? And I said, yes, I would. And so I had thought about it a lot right after November, and I thought, what's the job like? Because in St. Louis, I loved being a part of that city and the environment, and in St. Louis, it's all Democrats in charge, mm-hmm. and kind of finding ways to work together. And so I was looking forward to it. And so when they said, would you do this? I said, sure. And it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, wait just 1 second. You do not have experience working as a prosecutor. You, of course, you're not a judge. You do practice law, but it's not criminal law.
Correct.
It tends to be in terms of politics and elections and, activism, which is fine. But why U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia? You are not a district resident. You are a resident of Great Falls, Virginia. Nice place, but it's not in the district.
Yeah.
Why this job?
All right, James. All right. So if you have not watched that interview, it is time. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch the rest of that. As you all know, like I said, James interviewed Trump. I'm sorry, not Trump. Trump's administration nominee for DC U.S. Attorney Ed Martin. And Martin is currently serving as the acting U.S. District Attorney for the District of Columbia. You may have heard the reports are Martin's nomination may be in trouble due to a number of appearances he reportedly had with Russian state media that he failed to report to the Senate committee considering his nomination. Still, Martin recently met with residents here in Ward 8 at the invitation of the Anacostia Coordinating Council. It was a heated meeting, but he sat through it all and answered as many questions as the organization allowed. And then he came here to the Washington Informer, met with James Wright, and we invite you to check out the full interview on our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. So now let's move, let's talk about who we have on our show today. We've got a segment for sustainability, Our Power, Our Planet, sponsored by Safeway. And joining us will be Brianna Baer. Brianna is the communications manager for Safeway, and she'll talk to us about Safeway's Fresh Rescue Initiative. Sounds like something we really need to know about right now. And next up, April is Second Chance Month, a time to recognize the challenges returning citizens face as they rebuild their lives. Joining us as we celebrate Second Chance Month is Qiana Johnson, founder and CEO of Life After Release. And our last segment today is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase. We'll be talking to Chase Senior Business Consultant Darla Harris and Shayna Taylor, owner of VNO, at the National, let's say that again, owner of VNO at the Harbor Wine Bar and co-owner of the VNO Wine Experience. And Shayna will be here to talk about her mission to foster diversity and inclusion in the wine industry. Wonder how these tariffs are impacting her. Before we start today's discussion, I want to remind you to pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. We have our special sustainability issue. So, first of all, I got to show you a copy of the paper this week's issue of the Washington Informer. For those of you all who made it to Emancipation Day on Sunday, it was a great event, and we have a great story here. Vincent Orange, who was the originator of the Emancipation Holiday here in the District of Columbia, served as the Grand Marshal. And also, Black immigrants and organizers look to Abrigo Garcia detainment with concern. So, while it's national news about what's happening with Mr. Garcia, local folks and Black folks are concerned as well, whether you see us out there or not. There is a concern as it relates to immigration. And of course, the brand new Cedar Hill Hospital opened here in Ward 8 last week. They opened their doors on Tuesday to the first patients. And that was an amazing opening for a greatly needed hospital here in Ward 8 and in the District of Columbia. And of course, the National Cherry Blossom Festival also took place. So those are some stories that at least made it to the cover of the Informer, but it's best to see what's inside. And inside is our annual sustainability special edition. We do this every year because we want folks to know that Black folks care about the environment as well. And the theme for Earth Day this year is Our Power, Our Planet. How we can all pitch in to improve our Earth. And one of the stories that I'm kind of proud of, because I authored it, But did you know that dog poop is a serious environmental hazard that is also having a major impact on our local rivers? So you can read more about why we need to scoop the poop and other ways each of us can protect the earth, our earth, in this special edition inside this week's Washington Informer. Check it out. And please consider becoming a subscriber if you're not already one. Join the Washington Informer family and receive our publication directly in your inbox along with daily news updates. You'll also, in addition to what you see on the screen right there, which all we ask for is your email address, you can also subscribe to our print edition, and we have newsletters that we send out. Our House newsletter that talks about home ownership in the District of Columbia, and Word in Black, of which we are a member of. It's a national newsletter of news that's combined by 10 Black-owned newspapers across the country. So go to the website, go to WashingtonInformer.com and see all the things that we offer to make sure that we keep you, as we say on the front page of our paper, that we keep you informed. And we ask you also to make sure as you are tuned into today's broadcast that you spread the word by sharing this broadcast on your social media channels. Don't forget to follow the Washington Informer on social media and stay connected for the latest updates and engaging content that you won't want to miss. Now, let's watch this week's news broadcast by Curtis Knowles before we jump into our first conversation, sponsored by Safeway.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador on Wednesday and met with the country's vice president to push for the release of Qiana Abrego Garcia, a man who was sent there by the Trump administration in March despite an immigration court order preventing his deportation. Van Hollen said at a news conference in San Salvador that Vice President Felix Ulloa said his government could not return Abrego Garcia to the U.S. and declined to allow Van Hollen to visit him in the notorious gang prison where he's being held. Trump officials have said that Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran citizen who is living in Maryland, has ties to the MS-13 gang. But his attorney said that the government has provided no evidence of that, and Abrego Garcia has never been charged with any crime related to such activity. DC's Audi Field has been selected as one of the venues to host the 2025 inaugural FIFA Club World Cup in 2 months. The trophy will be awarded this summer to one of the 32 international club soccer teams competing for the championship, and Audi Field will host 3 matches in June. The teams hail from countries such as Abu Dhabi, Italy, Austria, Morocco, and Saudi Arabia. At the event, FIFA President Gianni Infantino once again announced that FIFA will be contributing $1 million to each of the cities that will host matches during the tournament. Longtime commentator for DC United Dave Johnson commented saying, quote, "Hosting the FIFA 2025 Club World Cup is a tremendous milestone for our club and our city." With the House on a 2-week recess and DC's fiscal year 2025 budget still under siege, DC Mayor Muriel Bowser announced the start of government-wide freezes on new hires, overtime spending, pay raises, promotions, and non-personnel expenditures. This freeze, which went into effect on Tuesday afternoon, will most likely lay the foundation for furloughs and government facility closures that City Administrator Kevin Donahue will recommend toward the end of April. These personal reductions, intended to spur a cost savings of more than $400 million, are built upon Bowser's recent increase of the district's maximum spending cap by 6%, or more than $500 million, as allowed in the 2009 law. On Monday, Bowser declined to speak specifically about which programs were on the chopping block, as the matter proved to be more complicated than any budget situation the district has faced in recent years.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you so very much for that broadcast. This segment coming up next is brought to you by Safeway, and I am so honored to welcome Brianna Baer, Communications Manager for Safeway. Thank you so much, Brianna, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us, like I said, sponsoring this segment, and our sustainability issue, and our health and wellness and nutrition supplement next month. I mean, Safeway does more than sell food.
We do, yes. So we're happy to be able to talk about some of those initiatives with you today.
Wonderful. Well, one that we are really excited about and want to know so much more about, our viewers would, is the Safeway's Fresh Rescue Initiative. Tell us about that and what are some of its objectives?
Sure. Yeah. Our Fresh Rescue Initiative is a way that our associates basically call or scout each aisle every single day and pull product, perfectly good product, from the shelves, from the refrigerators, and we kind of store it away for food rescue initiatives like food banks, food pantries, and the like. So these are things that are perfectly good to eat, but just don't, meet our mass retail standards. And so it's a way, as far as the initiatives, it's a way to reduce our carbon footprint, which is always great. It's a way that our associates can get involved in the philanthropic side of the business. And then it's a way that we can help to impact our local food banks around us.
It makes sense. A lot of people, I think more and more people now are concerned about food waste and recognizing that, okay, so I didn't eat my greens, or I didn't do whatever, but it doesn't need to necessarily go into a trash can or be disposed of. And then we also are hearing more and more news about what's happening with these food banks, that there's a great need and not enough to deliver. So what inspired Safeway to launch this initiative?
Well, like I said before, we're always constantly looking for ways to reduce our carbon footprint. We have a very ambitious goal. So by 2030, our goal is to have zero food waste in the stores. And so it's little steps like this that allow us to meet those goals every single day.
Is there a process that's involved in rescuing food that maybe even people could adopt in their own homes? What would you?
So a part of the actual, workflow of our associates every day is to scout those aisles and to check things like sell-by dates and, even appearances to the eye. A lot of times, we're blessed in this Western culture that a lot of us shop with our eyes, right? And so if it doesn't look perfect, we don't want to pick it up. But that doesn't mean that the food is inedible or not good. So a lot of those quality standards we follow, and then we pull those items. And through the help of our partners through Feeding America, we follow strict guidelines on how to store those foods. So like you mentioned before, a lot of us do it in our day-to-day shop, right? We may buy something that's close to the sell-by date, but we freeze it. And so we do the same with our products in store. And so we follow those guidelines on how to properly store and elongate that shelf life. And then we have a great database of food pantries that we service, and we have them on rotation. They call up, and we're able to, some of those pantries, they come, they pick it up, or we've recently partnered with Uber Direct. And so we're able to put a shipment of goods, foods in Ubers and get them to the food banks.
You mentioned, and you keep mentioning, which I think is important, a lot of us pay attention to those sell-by dates. Even there's a sell-by date, I guess, and a use-by date, right? Mm-hmm. So can you maybe explain to us, what's the science, and I know you're not the scientist, but what is the science that goes into determining those dates, and which ones should we really pay attention to?
Yeah, so that is definitely above my pay grade, right? But I think, we need to take a page from our elders, right? It's the smell of it, it's the feel of it, it's the look of it. A lot of times, everything has a sell-by date, even salt, which is crazy. So every single thing has a sell-by date, and you have to understand the economics of sell-by dates, right? So, we want things to retailers want things to transition out of the stores eventually. It can't stay forever. But however, using your best judgment, that is what we suggest. But again, a lot of us are blessed to be very particular in what we shop for and how we shop. And so a lot of the things are perfectly good to eat, but, some people just don't want to, not take the risk, but they don't want to buy something that may not look good or feel good or it doesn't have the correct date on it.
I would think that the biggest challenge for this initiative is produce, because a lot of times produce doesn't have necessarily a date on it, like canned and boxed goods and what have you. So what goes into making a decision when to start pulling, oranges and apples and whatever off of the shelves?
So that is one of the departments that we don't. Our produce sales, we have really great produce. And so a lot of our customers purchase it all up. However, there is a guide. Like I said, we take our cues from Feeding America, which is basically kind of the foundation for a lot of the guidelines where food banks kind of run through. So we take their guidelines as far as, what should we pull. And we have a lot of grant programs that we're able to pull things that are fresh or that, do not appear to be going bad, for lack of a better word. And so it's really, we rely on our produce department to kind of make that call, as well as Feeding America.
When people, I'm curious about how, community organizations or individuals are involved or can get involved in the Fresh Rescue Initiative. Is there something that there's a place for folks to sort of support what Safeway is doing?
Yeah, so I would say, if I can, on behalf of the food banks, I think their biggest challenge and the biggest hindrance to this program is transportation. That is why Uber Direct is so important. It's so important because, as you probably know, Denise, a lot of these food banks are ran part-time. A lot of them are not a full-time entity. They don't have a mass, transit organization to get trucks, and they don't have refrigeration. So they really rely on volunteers to pick up. And so if you want to get involved, contact your food bank. A lot of us think of volunteering as, packing the bags or giving out the bags, but there are really some back end things that you could do, like picking up a pallet or so of food and delivering it to the food bank so the food bank can then distribute.
Is there, are you all finding maybe that, I don't know what we're going through well, I do know what we're going through right now. Now, everybody's talking about the price of eggs, but, are you finding from your standpoint a greater demand for the Fresh Food Initiative, Fresh Rescue Initiative before, let's say last year? Is there an increase in need?
Slightly, and of course we won't have all of those numbers until the end of the year, but lucky for us, we have a strong initiative to carry on, whether, when things go up and down in the economy. That's always been our goal. Even last year for 2024, we donated about $3 million alone in food to this initiative. So that's about 1.5 million pounds of food. That's just in the DMV alone. And so this is something that we continue to do and will in the future.
Since we are talking about Earth Day, which is next week on the 22nd, and, we did this issue, which we were so happy that you Safeway supported, as well as health and wellness. I want to kind of expand, if we can, some of the initiatives that Safeway has that address both of those. I mean, what you're doing in the sustainability areas and how you tend to try to support Safeway. I mean, health and wellness.
Sure. Yeah. So as far as that initiative, we do have a program through our Food is Medicine program. And so that basically encompasses like SNAP match and things of that nature. And as far as educating the public that we service who maybe take advantage of those state and government resources like SNAP or formerly called food stamps. And so we try to partner with organizations that help to foster the education of proper eating habits. So once they get the food that is donated, or once they, claim their benefits in the stores, we try to get them programs to, better utilize the food that they get. And so we offer those incentives through projects like the SNAP Match program, where we basically match the dollars spent with food, fresh fruit and vegetables to help them, eat healthier.
That sounds great. I think all of us are trying to find ways to do that, to eat healthier. Is there anything else that Safeway is doing on the health front? That I know that some people will have, and maybe you all do this, and I think we talked about it before, the shopper guide, someone that you can come in and kind of go down the aisles and help you to, with your shopping, or seniors or something like that. Any other initiatives that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so we do have a lot of resources like on our website that include like healthy recipes. We have a great Food is Medicine program that people can, go to our website and learn more information. We also really partner hand in hand with our pharmacy team. to help, foster those great relationships between food and literally medicine as well. So our pharmacy team has great resources, not just about vaccines, but proper food to help you maybe not need so many medications. So yeah, we try to have a well-rounded approach to the customer.
Well, this is fantastic. I mean, I think I've asked about all the questions I can think of about the sustainability or the Fresh Rescue Initiative, unless there's something I've missed that you think, I keep saying readers because I'm so focused on the newspaper, but that our viewers might want to know. Is there anything we missed?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, this is an initiative that we're really, really proud about. One of our initiatives is to have customers for life, and that's through Recipe for Change, whether it's, great food habits, offering great products, and then also servicing the community in which we serve. And so I'm just happy to be able to share a little bit about that information. Of course, if there's more information needed, if you are interested, if your viewers are interested, of course, they can visit Safeway.com for more information.
Wonderful. Well, Brianna, I want to thank you so very much for being with us today and for Safeway sponsoring this segment, to sharing information about what Safeway is doing on the sustainability forefront, as well as the health and wellness forefront. You all are actually, I think, doing a lot to educate and expand the needs or fulfilling the needs of our community. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
All righty. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Yeah. So again, this segment was brought to you by Safeway. And again, I think it's really exciting that they are doing the work that they're doing as we look at Earth Day. Everybody has a part to play, as we say, in our protecting our power and our planet. And there's power in food. And, we talk about the farmers that grow the food, the stores that and the marketplaces that sell the food, those of us who purchase and consume the food, and what's left over still has a life and a purpose. So again, we'll talk a little bit more about that this month as we focus on Earth Day, but it's my pleasure right now to bring on Qiana Johnson, who is the founder and CEO of Life After Release. Because this is a month in which we're celebrating, returning citizens. So, Qiana, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Hi, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, yeah, this month is really critical. It's always time to talk about returning citizens and the lives that they want to live once they come back and become important or contributing parts of our community. So tell us a little bit about Life After Release.
Yes, Life After Release is an organization that I started shortly after coming home from prison in 2017. We started as an organization. I didn't have much, so we would go inside of the library and we would I would go inside the library and do a resume clinic once a month. And we kind of branched off from that into an organization now where we are supporting individuals in a more broad way around workforce development, legal empowerment, to be able to get our folks who are returning in a place where they can actually live their life.
Qiana, how long after you returned? I mean, I don't know how much time, I don't know much about your story, and I don't know if you want to share any of that with us, but it would seem to me, and I know Roach Brown, a lot of others in the returning citizen community who really talk about that transition, especially if they've been away a long time, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It's hard to come back and say, okay, I want to write a resume and get a job. I mean, what is that? What is that space like in between, to get folks mentally prepared for life after prison?
Yes. So I did 2.5 years and I came home, and You may think that's not a long time, but it is a long time to be separated completely, and isolated completely from your community and what's going on around you. The only sense of the outside world that we really have is that of our family and that of the news or things that we may hear or see in the newspaper. But everything else is left behind. We don't have access to anything else of the outside world once we're incarcerated. So, coming home is whether it's 2 years or 30 years, it is, a period of time where we're missing out on a lot of things in community.
And so, what part of it, I would think, I'm not sure, but sort of the mental transition, and maybe some folks when they come home, they're like, I'm gonna do ABC. They've got sort of a plan. I would think that most folks don't have a plan, right? And so how do they reach you, and then how do you help them to sort of navigate the waters?
Yeah, most folks don't have a plan, and it's usually the community-based organizations that usually step in and fill the gap for individuals who are coming home. If they can find us, if they can reach us, right? A lot of us are tucked away and hidden, or we don't have enough, dollars and funds to do mass marketing, so people don't know that we exist. And so being able to help folks navigate something as simple as, going down to social services and getting assistance, or going to school, navigating how to do your resume, or how to set up an email, depending on how long you've been incarcerated, is a huge challenge. A lot of the everyday things that most individuals who have not had the experience of incarceration take for granted are very huge obstacles for those who are returning back to the community.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I can imagine, and I've heard stories. But for your organization, where do you operate, and where are most of your clients or the folks that you work for? Are they DC based or Maryland? Do you serve both?
We serve primarily Prince George's County. Our office is located in Prince George's County. We're inside of the Creative Suitland Center on Silver Hill Road, across from the Suitland Metro Station. And by default, we get some DC residents, right? Because we're so close to the DC line. But and we will help them. We have very good partnerships in DC, and a sister organization, Harriet's Wildest Dreams in DC, that picks up a lot of the things that we cannot do. But that's where we're located, and we do get some residuals from Baltimore City and County. We do get some from Anne Arundel County, but because of our limited resources and some of our funding, we are hyper focused on Prince George's County. We have a partnership with the Returning Citizens Affairs Division, a newly formed by the Angela Also Brooks administration, a newly formed division of the county that we are in partnership with, and also with Employee PG. So because of our partnerships, it just really limits the people who we're allowed to, based on our funding, who we are actually allowed to support.
Yeah, we're going to talk about funding in a little bit. But I know that you have an expo that's coming up, the Reboot and Rise Tech Empowerment Expo. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, our Reboot and Rise Technology Expo is bridging the gap between folks who are formerly incarcerated, and the technology gap that continues to widen every day for individuals who are returning home and have been away for a period of time, so that they can be able to access things like resumes, emails, Wi-Fi. If they wanted to get into the tech field, introducing them to skills and how to be self-taught to do things like coding and cybersecurity and other things that can also lead to a stream of income, a very lucrative income for individuals who are returning home and may not have an extreme background process that will hinder them from being a part, or to having a good living, and having, being able to have a skill that can actually bring them money.
Is there? I mean, it sounds great. I mean, what will happen there? Workshops? Are there speakers? Tell us what's going to happen.
Yes, we will have workshops. We will have young people there that will be doing STEM. We will be having some virtual technology. We will have photo booths. We will have Anthony Belton from Flick Shop that will be there talking about their technology school that they have as well. He's also formerly incarcerated. And we will have Crystal Orieva. We will have a host of partners. Metro will be there. Other employers will be there, being able to hire. So it will be, we will also be giving away makeovers for individuals who get interviews. We will be giving away headshots, free headshots, professional headshots. So come dress business so that you can be prepared for your headshot on that day.
Sounds fantastic. I want to check the date again because I missed that. When is it going to happen?
April the 26th.
Okay.
Saturday, April the 26th at 1 p.m. at Trinidad Baptist Church in Walker Mill, Maryland.
Wonderful. Okay. And so, I like the fact I heard that you were going to have some folks who own companies or have businesses that themselves were returning citizens or formerly incarcerated individuals. And so I assume there'll be some sort of testimonials for people to know that this is real, that things can happen. You want to talk about, was there any intention that you had to make sure that you had for people who could give those kind of testimonials?
Absolutely. We have people, actually, Mr. Willie Hamilton, who works with me every single day. I will let him take up some space. We brought Willie home. He was the first juvenile lifer in the state of Maryland that we were able to assist in, along with many other partners, to bring him home. But Willie did 30 years. And so he is going to be one of our speakers, one of the people, and, be able to talk about just how left behind individuals who are taken away from our society are separated from technology.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you, Mr. Hamilton. I'm glad that you could join us because I've been talking about you as I define, folks that are coming home. But I'm glad to finally talk to you so that you could tell your own story about, the transition from 30 years of being incarcerated and then coming back to the community. And basically, I would assume, it's like starting all over again. Is that the case?
First, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. So it's not even like starting over. It's like beginning. It's like you never had a start. If you can imagine just being in a cave and being able to visualize all the new technology that everyone else is being exposed to, but not being exposed to it yourself, except to visualize it, be able to see it, not to be able to handle it, learn about it. That's what it's like. So I went to a prison at the age of 16, and I came home when I was 47. So since 1992 to 2022, I was not exposed to any real form of technology. Anything that you may use inside of the prisons is very outdated. Maybe 10 years ago.
Let's break that down, Willie. I mean, we're talking about cell phones. We're talking about computers, laptop computers. We're talking about, I know Roach Brown often talks about, guys that have come home and the first thing they're looking for is a payphone on the street. Those are gone.
Yes.
So, I mean, talk about some of the things that you have had to learn to, to work with.
So my experience first coming home, you can imagine, no one had cell phones when I got incarcerated, unless you were very rich or you were into other things. They had these big old cell phones that people would use. So
I remember.
Learning how to even turn a cell phone on, right? And mind you, that they're touch screens now, so being used to the sensitivity of a cell phone, learning how to get to to dial a number in, all of these things, you get sensory overload because you haven't been exposed to these things. Emails, learning about passwords and password verifications, and everything requires a password. So if you haven't been exposed to any of these things, in over 10, 20, or 30 years, it's hard to grasp, and some people people not understanding the time and consideration it takes to a returning citizen to grasp this, to learn these things is very important. So we have to be patient. So this event is going to highlight all the everything that it takes for an impacted person to be rebooted back and rise and back into society, to be acclimated with technology, because this is the way of the future.
I'm curious too, because in one sense you may feel like you're left behind, but in another sense it's like, it seems like exciting, to see like I can do so much with this new technology. I mean, how do you feel about it? I'm putting words in your mouth and I don't want to do that, but I know it's a test of ability, but at the same time, what does it do to your sense of, like I said, beginning, to your sense of beginning, as you put it?
So it's scary. Let me say that. It's exciting and scary because you're seeing so much stuff. So like my director will tell you, she so she had me, open up a Google Doc. It was foreign to me. She's laughing because she understands. She knows. And I was so intimidated by, learning how to input things in a Google Doc, learn how to get to it. So, but she was very patient with me. And I guess it's come from her experience also as being incarcerated in the field that she works in. She understands the patience that it requires for returning citizens to get this, because I'm not going to grasp it the first, the second, or maybe the 10th time. It's going to take a repeat, like she always talk about muscle, mind muscle or strength or something like that. So she understands that it's going to take a repeated going over. Even now, I've been home almost 3 years and I still have trouble with some of the things. And she always say, why didn't you call me? Call me, ask me, But sometimes you're we come from an environment where we really don't like asking people for things. But getting in the mode of, especially when you feel comfortable around someone who has their best interest in mind. And I think no one can host this event better than Life After Release, because they deal with the people. They're in the community and people trust them. So I think we're going to have a great time with this.
Wonderful. I'm just curious, Qiana, how did you and Willie connect?
That's a great
So
story.
Willie and I connected through our participatory defense program, which is one of our legal empowerment programs. Like I said, we worked to bring Willie home. There was no pathway for Willie to come home when we got his case. His aunt came to us, and we worked with several lawyers and other community groups and interested people to be able to bring Willie home. We had to change legislation actually to get Willie home, and to remove the governor out of the parole process, to talk to the Department of Parole and Probation about risk assessments and a host of other things to get Willie home. And so we worked. So Willie has actually been with us from the moment he came home. And so we got him fresh out. We got him off the bus, off the white van that he got off of. As soon as he got in, he started volunteering. And very shortly later, I found money to be able to pay Willie to do things. And so, like he said, he was very kind in what he said. But no, Willie quit with us for a little while. He's like, I can't take this. It stressed him out really bad, And so,
I kind of heard that fear.
It stressed him out really bad. And, and if you don't have a supportive person in a leadership role that doesn't understand that, and what if I wasn't formally incarcerated? What if I didn't push back to people to say, hey, look, you got to give our people a little bit more time and investment when it comes to technology? If I wasn't a frontline advocate for this, then I would have pushed Willie, like, get this done now. It has to be done now. And he's like, I don't even know where to start. You told me to open a Google Doc. I don't even know what that is. And so I had to kind of like take a couple of steps back. Before my incarceration, I worked for the federal government. So I went in, and I was only gone for 2.5 years, but I went in with some level of knowledge. But even with me coming home, I was using flash drives when I went in 2015. When I came home in 2017, people were using Google Documents. in order to train. I was like, what is that? So that is why I had compassion for Willie, because I left with my flash drive and came home to Google Documents and iClouds, and I didn't know what that was.
So, I mean, I think I love and appreciate you all sharing the stories, and I mean, and it gives folks a sense of what will happen at this expo that's coming up on the 26th, and sort of opens the door for people to say, the way I hear it, there's a space. Come on in and have a seat, and let's do some things. Qiana, how is the organization funded? How do you all make it? Because you keep mentioning the fact of funds. I'm curious about that.
Yes, we have a lot of philanthropy dollars. We have a very big partnership with the Hyattsville Midnight Church, who supports us a lot over the last 4 years. They support various programming within our organization, and we just most recently got into partnership with the Return and Citizens Affairs Division of the county, and that was after some time. And so we don't get any federal funding. We really rely on small level dollars, donations, recurring donations, especially in the times that we're going into right now, where folks are not sure where their next grant or dollar is going to come from. So we actually really depend on, reoccurring donations, churches, if they have, different funds that they have available that they would like to donate to us. That's what we rely on.
Well, we're going to put the website, I assume we have it, at the bottom of the screen for those who want to reach out and not only come to the conference, but who may also want to support what you're doing through funding and may need more information. It sounds like a great program that you have. You're touching on the things that are really important, and that's how people can be self-supportive and self-sustaining. And at a time, I'm sure, folks are also concerned, well, thousands of people are losing their jobs. There's still opportunities to generate income. And so I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I would assume that at the conference, you're going to be talking about that as well.
Yes. Can I make one last point? To all of our government, I'm a former government employee, and to all of our government employees, we also welcome you, especially if you may have gotten your clearance in the 80s or the 90s, and they hadn't run a background check, and you may have had a hiccup, and you may have gotten on parole or probation in between your last secret clearance or background check, and you're a little nervous. Come on out. Nobody has to know. We won't tell anybody. We won't report you, but it's open, and come on out, because we understand, it's not just for people who are formerly incarcerated and actually done prison time. If you are impacted in any way by the criminal legal system that involves a background, parole, probation, you may not have gone to prison. You may have been lucky enough this time, or in your instance, to not have to go to jail or prison, but you may have a charge, or you may have had something that you have on a stat docket. I'm not going to tell anybody, but just come on out and get that experience, because we're in uncertain times right now, especially with our government employees. And so I just wanted to make mention and stand in solidarity with them.
Wonderful. Qiana, I appreciate Qiana Johnson, Executive Director of Life After Release. Thank you so much for being with us, as well as you too, Willie Hamilton. Welcome home, and wishing you the best. And as you learn more about this technology and how you will use it for your new beginning, or your beginning. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
All righty. Have a great day. So, a lot of us need that kind of a boost, that hand holding, that support. And it's so good that this organization is out there in Prince George's County, available to residents in the DMV who need it. So thanks again for them joining us. And now I'm really excited to bring on Chase Senior Business Consultant Darla Harris and Shayna Taylor, owner of Vino at the Harbor Wine Bar and co-owner of Vino Wine Experience. Welcome to Let's Talk. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having us. Thanks, Denise. It's great to finally get a chance to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Oh no, I've been to the wine bar a couple times now.
Of course you have.
I don't know if you remember, but Chevy and I were there once. And so, I mean, you have a wonderful, wonderful location. Every time I come down to the National Harbor, I am so proud that, the signs are still there, that you're still there, because we've lost so many. As Darla probably knows, Chase, what's happening with particularly a lot of small businesses. But they're still forging on. So thanks a lot for being on with us today. Darla, tell us about the Coaching for Impact program.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you for having me. I do want to say one thing. I was able to celebrate with you for your 60th anniversary, and it was a wonderful event. So congratulations on being around for 60 years.
Thank you.
As we get for Impact, it is a program that Chase offers for free to business owners to help bring them to the next level. It is one-on-one coaching with senior business consultants like myself, where we talk about marketing, planning, cash flow, cash analysis, and banking. The program started in 2020. We were in 4 cities, Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Detroit. And then we had 4 consultants. And as of today, we have 88 consultants. And at the end of the year, we will be in 28 cities. Since the program, I joined in 2021. And so far, I've been able to coach about 370 businesses in our local region.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And what does the coaching entail, Darla? I mean, you talked about some of the things, but when you walk into or you meet these small businesses, where do you find the biggest lack of understanding or, I mean, what's the biggest thing that you find of all the things that the program offers that people need?
One of the things that with the challenges is just a lack of resources and information that you have. Through the program, we continue to talk to you about access to capital, marketing, business development, operations management, when you're navigating your cash flow, how you bring money in, how money is going out of your business, and just day-to-day operations. We hear stories still where hiring is difficult and keeping great employees. Also we hear about, footprint and expanding our business. And then, the access to capital, we still hear a lot about that. So we do the program where we talk about how to learn what an underwriter is looking for when you come for a loan or a line of credit.
Qiana, when you, first of all, how did you find out about, let me back up a little bit. Talk about the business. I want folks to know what you're doing over there at the National Harbor and the Vino Wine Bar. Tell us a little bit about it and how long you've been there and why you got started.
Well, that's my favorite thing to talk about. Darla will tell you that, and I know you're aware as well. But we started just over 3 years ago, or just under 3. We're in our 3rd year now, and we were really excited about being able to bring the mission to Prince George's County that we really focus on wine education. And it's a big part of my mission to introduce people of color to wine and to the wine industry, because I'm sure you guys are aware, it's an industry that barely 3% of most consumers on a consumer level. And then when you get into the education piece and the sommelier and the expert piece, it's under 3% of all people in that profession around the world. So my goal has always been to bring inclusivity and diversity to the area. And I just wanted to build a space where people of color felt comfortable learning and growing in the wine space, because oftentimes when you go to wine bars or restaurants, and it's not a part of our natural culture, whereas when it comes to some ethnic backgrounds, they start their kids young drinking wine. They're drinking wine at the table and they have that exposure early. Our folks, we don't get that. So when we go to these types of places, they make us feel uncomfortable about what we don't know, about what we haven't learned yet. So with Vino, I really wanted to create a space where you can have an experience, you can learn about wine, and we'll make it fun and approachable and make you feel welcome, most importantly.
Well, I don't mean to be, curt, but a lot of us started off on back in the day on the Ripple and the, those little fruit flavored whatevers, and so that was not the kind of experience I'm sure that you're talking about, young people having, and but still with all of what you wanted to do and to bring to the table, how did you find out about the program at Chase and the Coaching for Impact program? And what was your objective? What were you trying to get out of this program?
Yeah, I was excited. I was introduced to the program by a friend of mine who had graduated through the program and was also coached by Darla. And she's such a trusted source for me. So when she told me about the program, I was immediately excited about it because she's the type of person that won't tell you about anything if it's not test, tried, and proven. So I was interested in getting the juice because she was like, Darla has the juice. And consider the fact that she had owned her business for a long time and multiple other businesses, she was able to talk to me about how Darla was able to increase her business knowledge even after being a serial business owner.
Wow. Okay. But what was your objective? What were you when you got into the program? What was your goal? Or do you operate like that, Darla? Do you ask what people hope to get out of the program?
She asked me for sure. And what I really wanted was to be able to find a way to grow my business because it was open. I had been in business for just under 2 years and it was kind of stagnant. When you open a new business, friends and family are going to support you. The community will come out to support because it was the first Black-owned female wine bar in the area. So people will support you in that. But once that fizzles off, you have to have something else and you have to have more resources. Like I knew I had the brand. I knew I had a great product. I knew what I had planned as my business model was awesome. But what I didn't know or understand was how to make sure everyone else who had not been there yet became aware of what we had to offer. And that's what Darla was able to step in and really help me out with.
Wow, you sound like the magician, Darla, or the angel, the business angel, who can really help get folks through some of these challenges. So, I mean, how did you focus, Qiana, on her goal or her objectives?
We started out doing a full SWOT analysis, which talked about her strengths, her weaknesses, her opportunities, and the threats to her industry. And then I do just simply say, how can I really help you? And she started talking about, the foot traffic that she has at her location. So we knew it was business development, her marketing strategies that she had in place. And then she's in a great area where there's a lot of local residents. And so we talked about how to get those residents to come to her location. And then some of the larger hotels that are around there, working with them as well as, getting the foot traffic in. So we meet every other week, or her and I met every other week for 30 minutes. And then we talk through those issues. Sometimes we have a little plan in place. We reviewed her business plan. We talked about even having a QR code in her location so that she can see what the reviews look like and how she could move the needle.
Interesting. And so, Qiana, have you implemented some of the things that Darla suggested, and have you actually seen a difference in or I guess seeing any of the things that you hope to happen begin to manifest?
Probably, here's what's funny. There aren't any ideas that Darla gave that I didn't implement. Like it was what she shared. When she mentioned the QR code, I went out and got this really nice acrylic sign with the QR codes so that customers could start to leave reviews when they were leaving. So it was pretty much real time. So that was a really good piece of advice, but it also allowed us the opportunity to put the code on there where customers can contact me directly or go directly onto our website, purchase tickets for events that we were hosting. But it was one of the best ideas, and it was so small, but we did it and we started to notice the impact so quickly. And in addition to her giving us that as an idea, she talked to me a lot about our marketing plans, our promotional plans, but how to track them. Because that's the important part. Because a lot of times you'll give people money and you'll run advertising campaigns and you really can't figure out the return on your investment.
Exactly.
So we really talked about that. And I was able to spend my marketing dollars more wisely to get the quicker return on my investment. And it was way more impactful. So we started to notice the influx of business. We started to see the foot traffic increase, our social media presence. I don't know much about this TikTok thing, but we ticking and talking. And people are posting reels and they're enjoying the experience and sharing it with other people, which has really impacted our growth.
That's amazing. Darla, how can people learn more about the resources that Chase has?
You can find us at chase.com/coaching for impact, chase.com/coaching for impact. You can also stop by one of the branches and go in and talk to a business banker in there, and they can connect you to a senior business consultant in the area. Right now, currently, it's myself and Christina Sicard. I believe she was on your show. She is a second senior business consultant. Then we have 2 business consultants in the Baltimore area, and we have 1 in Richmond. So all you have to do is just look for the blue octagon and pop into a branch or go to our website.
Is there any preparation one would have to do? I mean, Qiana, when you first met Darla, I mean, did you feel like, oh, I got to, in addition to, sweep the floor or whatever, I mean, just little basic maintenance things, but I mean, the technical stuff, is there anything people need to have in place before, they get involved in the program?
I would suggest having an open mind, because oftentimes business owners, we have big ideas and big brains and we think we know everything. We have a good idea of what we want our business to look like or what the model is or what our mission is. But I would just say, be open to changing some of those things, because she has some really good ideas. And sometimes you just have to be willing to move a little bit, just pivot or shift and be a little flexible in order to receive all the good ideas that she has and the goodness that she brings to the table.
And is there any length of time that a business, has existed in order for them to participate? Could there be a new business, or should they have been in business for at least a year? What is the criteria, Darla?
Thank you. The criteria is to have been in business for a minimum of 2 years and have a little over $100,000 in revenue. But we do have Business Resource Center at Chase. If you are a startup, it has a lot of information on it. It talks about, what a business plan should have inside of it. It talks about your profit and loss, your balance sheet. There's all kinds of articles for a newer business startup, growing your business, maintaining your business on our Business Resource Center. And again, in the branch, we have a lot of business bankers that are there to help you as well. But our program is 2 years and then that $100,000 in revenue. And it's 4 months of coaching. And then we have a wonderful graduation at the end of coaching where we have everyone come out and the executives join the coaching. Other businesses that are graduating from myself and Christina come, and it's a great networking event. And I think Qiana already attended her graduation, so she could talk about that as well.
Yeah, Qiana, congratulations. When was graduation?
It was just about 2 months ago. And
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned the graduation, Darla, because I really wanted to get this in. Because the 4 months of the coaching, I thought that was the best part of the program. And I thought that was the best resource that Chase would be able to offer. But the graduation. So at the graduation, they brought all of the other business owners together. So we all graduated at the same time and we had never met before. So it was an excellent opportunity to network. So I've gotten some business out of that graduation and the networking alone. And it's been great. And then we've been able to use our businesses as case studies for each other to really help each other learn and grow even further. But there was a speaker. So the keynote speaker at our graduation, I think saved my life, made my life so easy and simplified a lot of the stuff that I had been doing. And I think what she offered probably would have been out of my price range to ever be able to afford to consult with her. But it was an AI specialist, and she taught about how we can use AI in our business to help our business grow and to how to cut costs. But I had never thought about it. So the graduation and hearing that keynote speaker was just as impactful as everything else I had learned through the program. And it was just kind of like the icing on the cake. It was the cherry on top of an amazing 4-month experience.
That's fantastic. You know, Darla, one of the challenges with small business owners is that they spend a whole lot of time working, in their business and not on their business, right? They're so busy doing the work that they don't get a chance to really take the time to plan and do all the things. How do you advise owners who are kind of in the mix and might say to themselves, oh, I like that, but I don't have time for it?
You know, just each one is kind of on an individual cases, but really understanding, you know, how much they are working in the business and where they want to develop the business. And then seeing, you know, what they have the budget where they can maybe do a virtual assistant who can free up some time for them to work in the business. If they have family or friends, I was working with a small business owner, and that was his biggest challenge, is that he not only worked in the business, he did the work for the business, so it's for the company, and couldn't really develop it. And we just talked about some things that his mom had recently retired. And I said, can she do some of those things for you? Can she do your scheduling? He wanted to apply for a certificate in Virginia. And he was like, I haven't filled out the form. So I said, can your mom fill out the form? You know, someone that you could trust with that personal information. And then in the 2 weeks that we met, he had gotten the form filled out. Now he's waiting for the certification. He was able to actually hire a nephew to do some work for him as well. So just little things that we kind of discuss. I'm a coach, you know, a consultant. So I kind of give the ideals. These business owners and Qiana, they are brilliant. They already have the ideal. They're working in the business. Sometimes they just need a little tweak, a little push, or sometimes they're already doing everything they can, and it's just planting that seed so that it can continue to grow.
Yeah, I call you you'd be an extended employee, somebody who can help to think while we do, you know, and that's probably what Qiana found. You know, she was doing, but she needed somebody to help think about some things outside of the box, that beyond what you were doing. So I'm glad that this worked out. I'm glad to see these smiling faces. I'm happy that Chase is available, that they have this coaching for impact program. Again, we want to just put something on up so that people can know how to reach out. What do they call, or is there, when they go to the website, what will they find?
They will find an application just with a few quick questions about their business. And then it's sent in through the website, and then someone will either route it to myself or Christine. And I believe there's a drop-down box where they can actually find my name or Christina's name. It's usually routed, if they don't pick a name, to the closest zip code. And it is for customers and non-customers. So it's open to all diverse business owners in the local area.
Wonderful. That is fantastic. Well, one of your fans are Qiana is Zerlene Hughes. She just put in the chat. She says she's not a district resident, but she says you are a super dedicated business owner. So you got a lot of fans out there. And I think Sean Williams also said great tips, thinking outside the box. Darla, this also helps in making sure that, you know, our businesses succeed. We need them now, because a lot of people don't have these, you know, good government jobs now. They're kind of going by. And so we need to not only support our businesses, but find ways to help them to become stronger. And so we thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for Qiana for being with us to tell us. You got anything coming up? I'll give you a little commercial time. Anything happening?
Thank you so much. Well, there's always something happening at Vino at the Harbor. We've got, and folks can take a look on our Instagram page to get more information and get tickets to the events I'm going to talk about. We've got a silent disco Western style party coming up shortly. We've got sundresses and sangrias coming up. We've got a caregivers wind down, because caregivers need to wind down too. And then every Wednesday at Vino, we have our Wine Up Wednesday, because we don't wind down, we wind up. And we have live jazz every Wednesday. So we've been featuring a really good saxophonist, and it's every Wednesday from 7 to 9. But
Wonderful.
we always post everything on our Instagram at Vino at the Harbor, and on our Facebook is at Vino at the Harbor as well.
And while you're there, you can learn a little bit about the wines that you have, right?
For sure.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for being with us, both of you, Qiana Taylor and Darla Harris. We appreciate you and appreciate you sponsoring this segment. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Darla. Thanks, Chase. Thank you to Chase Bank.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for being with us. So this brings us to the end, and we always go into overtime, but sometimes it's important to do that. But we always go into overtime, and just glad that you all were able to stay with us. Again, thank you for joining Let's Talk. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you will pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. I said on newsstands today, take a look at our sustainability issue, our power, our earth. If you have some interesting stories to talk about or you'd like to share with us regarding what you or your community is doing to protect our earth, reach out to us at news, NEWS at WashingtonInformer.com. Again, that's news, NEWS at WashingtonInformer.com. We'd love to hear from you. And to know, Black folks are into this environmental movement too, and it's not going away. So we're adding, I think, contributing in some great ways to keep our earth viable and clean. And speaking of clean, I am so happy to see more of these DPW trucks in the DMV out there. I saw them cleaning up 295 this week. We got a trash issue, y'all. Too many of us are deciding to throw stuff out the window as opposed to just finding a nearby trash can. So, that makes a difference. The water bottles, the thing we just toss out windows or drop on the ground, we see it all the time. We got to stop. We've got to stop. So we may talk about that a little bit later on, but I'm so glad that the city is in making sure that some of these highways and byways are being cleaned up. Folks leaving old tires. It's a mess. It's a mess, and we've got to do something about it. So having said that, thank you so very much for being with us. We will see you again next week. Same time, same place. And until then, have a good Friday, happy Easter, and have a wonderful week. This is Denise Rolark Barnes signing off.